I got it sorted out.
There we
All right. Welcome on in. Thanks for the shout out for Rad. I appreciate you. Welcome on into the podcast, everyone. Hello. Welcome on in. We're
Hello.
kind of more prepared than last time. You know, we're always trying to improve it. This time I've changed the way that the cameras are on my end. I guess that's the improvement that we made. Or that I made, I should say, on my end. Rad, if you want to see Rad's version, Rad's always looks cool.
Josh's is the main version, but mine is here.
Yeah,
So it's
Rad's
here.
is there, so I appreciate it. Hello. Hi, welcome on in, everyone that's new. If you're coming over from Rad or if you hear me over on Rad's, hi, my name is Josh with a pen. You can find me making content all over the place, TikTok, YouTube, and mainly here on Twitch. And I decided to do a monthly collab podcast for Sky Children of Light with Rad a couple of months ago. This is our fourth one, I think. Is it number 4?
Yes, I think so.
Right?
Number 4. Yeah, 4.
This is number 4. You'd figure that we'd have everything all together. And I think we're going to be surprised with number 6. Number 6 is where I'm like, all right, I think we have everything down where maybe we could invite another Sky Creator Troop member or something like that. So we could, you know, have some more. Maybe you might
That's
get bored.
When we hit a million views. It's
Right. When we hit a million views, we'll invite everyone, you know.
Yeah. Number 6 will go for the million. For now, we'll stick with the. We'll stick with 30.
It's all good. So we'll be, as always, we'll be talking about like updates, no spoilers. Rad doesn't do spoilers, no beta content, anything like that, unless it's stuff that's already happened and is in game. And we'll get started with that. This week, we'll be talking about the most recent patch notes that just dropped, the things that are happening in the game. And then towards the end, we kind of do a little bit of, you know, hey, if you've got questions that you want to ask and kind of hear our perspectives from, you can always feel free to go ahead and ask those in chat. And if you're watching this video over on YouTube and you want to join in, these are monthly podcasts. They're usually going to be on a Friday in the middle of the month. So whatever day that ends up falling, just so you know, and that's gonna be it to get started. So I figured our very first question, I guess, that we're gonna go over here. I know we talked about Avery last podcast as well too, but we've seen almost like since last podcast, we've seen the second half of Avery's show, and now in game there's a full-on celebration happening right now until the 17th, so it's going to be lasting for another couple of days. How are you feeling about the new things that happen? Like, we've gotten confirmation basically that, you know, we're just replaying seasons, like that mechanic for it. Like, how are you feeling about it?
I mean, it's obviously like suddenly so much is different. Whereas before it was just like it was the season area that we were kind of playing in. And when we had the last podcast, and obviously you knew some things and I was trying to guess what they were, you know, I think it's obviously like quite different now. And it's clear that this is providing shortcuts to the previous seasons for someone who started the game new. I feel like it is like it's becoming an area for newer players to benefit from maybe a bit more. I don't know. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to progress through the season. I've got the ultimate cape now as well, which I'm excited about. But yeah, no, I think the fireworks show has been pretty exciting. That's been pretty cool, nicely done, I thought, and kind of actually it turned out to be a good use of the festival tech, because it kind of is a similar festival. Because you sit around and watch kite things. So I think it's been quite good. I don't know. Do you have any concerns or interest?
I like it. For me though, as like a veteran Sky player, it's been the most easiest season ever. I'm sure that a lot of people have been feeling the same way as well. Just kind of being like, hey, you know, I'm just approaching the quest giver and then that's it. It's done. It's over. Like, we're not really doing anything. It's very much, this is what Sky intended the whole entire time. Yeah, you're right. I agree. It's a walkthrough. It's you know, new player comes in, it shows you all of the seasonal areas that has, you know, all the seasonal areas that have tutorials with them, right? Like, for example, season of moments. Here's where you get your camera. Here's how you do that. You know, I don't know. I'm surprised. The one season that I was expecting, Abyss. It's the one season that I don't see.
So,
and I was expecting Abyss because
to be here?
Well, I mean, I know that there's a couple of spots for it to be here, but I don't think that it's going to be showing up.
Right, okay.
I was hoping that it would be there, but that's just because I'm an Abyss moth. But we haven't seen it yet. There is 2 more spots in game right now for a couple of more seasons, so we'll see what those ones are going to be. But so far, there's been pretty much every other season on there. What did it start out with? Season of Dreams, season of Enchantment is there that we just experienced, just got released with this latest patch. We've also got, what else do we got? I don't know. What else do we got?
The one with Ark in it. Is that Enchantment Ark?
Yeah, Enchantment is Ark.
Yeah.
Lost Ark. Yeah. Enchantment is Ark. And then from there, I don't know what else. Yeah, so there's a great many seasons that I just can't remember them all because like when I was playing it in live again, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, it's done. Yay. Performance is there. Let's see. I think that's it. That's all I think that's a couple of them. And then as you go, they're kind of like I like the mechanic for it because you can actually go into the buildings and I think you can actually teleport to those places. So like
can we
if you were
do
to
it?
go into
this was a question I had. Can I teleport to a particular?
I know that you can probably do it from the enchantment shop. That's the only place that I've tried it. Is it like you can get a quick teleport over to Lost Ark instead of having to go all the way to those places?
Because I know I thought about with the first one, I thought about there's a shortcut here, and then I went to try and use it, and I couldn't find it.
And you have to talk to you'll have to talk to him, I think. If you'll have to talk to the spirit and find the spirit so you can see if there's a shortcut or not. But I don't think. Nope. Never mind. That would have been a really cool feature to keep is if you were able to talk to all these spirits if you find them inside the shop. I like that there was the quick teleports at first, but now, from a new player perspective, I'm going to be expecting to try to teleport to those places. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find my way. If I got teleported there to begin with, I don't know how a new player is going to find their way. I like that there's the performance area and then the music hall area.
There's the shortcut to Harmony Hall.
Yep, there is a shortcut at the end to Harmony Hall. That's one of the buildings that you enter. That I do like. Let's see, what else? I think that's going to be, as far as shortcuts, I think that's going to be the only thing. Otherwise, it's still the same after you've already played the quests. But if you finish the quests, there's no way to teleport to those places anymore.
So the new player can teleport, but the older players can't. Is that right?
The new players can teleport, but once they're done with that season, after you're done with finishing that season, you can't.
You can't take a new player through a season. Then you'd have to walk to them once they teleported.
Yeah,
it seems a little complicated.
It would seem complicated if you did have a moth. Yeah, find your moths in the realms. Don't find them in aviary.
Basically. No, someone was what a Crazeless comment here. Someone was saying the Harmony Hall thing creates a state of, what was it, quantum flux? Someone described it as where you go in one door and then you leave that door and you end up in another place.
Yeah, as far as like that, as far as like what I've tested with it here, and speaking of, we're just on the conversation of trying to like see how it works, because that's the only place that you can actually teleport to right now. After you've finished reliving that season, you walk into the door, and if you walk into that door, you end up in the performance hall. And then same door that you entered, you walk out. You don't end up in dreams. You end up back in aviary. Instead of going into the dreams area. If you want to go to the dreams area, you have to exit the other door. Yeah.
But then if you come back, then it does work or something. This is it. It was confusing. I'm trying to do it.
No. So like, let's say your Sky Kid goes in from Aviary to the Performance Hall, right? That same door that you enter into the Performance Hall.
Yeah.
Not the Performance Hall, the Music Hall. You can go back into Aviaries if you go into that door, through that door.
Yeah. But if you actually go into the theater and then come back again.
Yeah, if you actually go into the theater and then go back again, you go into the dream space. Then you don't go back into like Aviary. Unless you have your home set to Aviary and then you just kind of teleport home. It's very confusing how that door works now, but you can't go into that hall from Dreams and then go into Aviary is the thing. I don't think.
I'm kind of like with. I'm with Crazylist on here. I feel like it's just logically irritating.
Yeah,
even if kind of like you can work it out eventually. It's just like there's a logical. Why didn't they just build a separate door in Harmony Hall? That was
that would have made 100% sense, but they would have had to been thinking about that when they put music, Performance Hall on there to begin with.
But they could add a door.
They should add doors to all of these places, but you know what? You know what those doors are to all of these places? Wind paths, and we have not seen anything like that. So I'm hoping one of these last two is a wind paths, because getting wind paths from home that would solve all the issues.
Well, there does. I mean, and it doesn't seem to be a spoiler because there does appear to be a wind path on the end of Aviary, doesn't there, on the left-hand side there? And apparently, during the fireworks,
we've not had we've not had a quest though. Just saying,
we haven't had a quest. No, this is true. But someone said if you can't go on it at the moment because of the wind wall, but during the fireworks display, they managed to get through. So I don't know if that's a bug as well.
Well, I know some beta things, I guess, but there is a wind path entrance there right now in live. I don't know if by the time this is out, if it'll, that'll be one of the 2 quests that release, because there's 2 more quests that are on the tree for Aviary. There's one coming out on Monday and then another one coming the Monday afterwards. So it's just one of those things that's like, okay, there's 2 more. Obviously the season's not finished, even though it feels like it's done already. It's not done until the end of the month. There's 17 as of right now. There's 16 more days of the season left, and it feels like it went by really fast, even though there's been like a bajillion quests. This whole season has just felt so fast. How I guess the next thing I want to talk about here, and I guess that Rad's playing in the game as well too. So as I'm mentioning these things, like Rad can go and check them out. But how are you feeling about TGC kept their word? And I'm going to change the subject completely, speaking about doors and stuff like that. But if you go into the shop, the little like holiday shop where the Moth Cape and the Sparrow Cape are. After this last patch, they've made that area bigger. And if you look over to your right as you enter and go over to your right, the Days of Mischief spirits are there with some cosmetics that you can purchase if you haven't purchased them yet.
She's right.
This is what they were intending with events when they were like, I'm not going to put them when the event is happening. I'm bringing them back at random times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just kind of over here on my end. I see, that being a benefit, I think, for future events, for a place, for like a permanent place to be able to buy those things.
So they're not always going to be there. They're going to be often there.
They're going to be rotated. I feel like they'll be rotated depending on what season is going on. Yeah. They're going to be rotated. At least that's what I feel based off of what's in live. Anyways, like Mischief.
You might be right. Yeah. I mean, the capes are nice, aren't they?
Yeah, the Sparrow Cape
I've seen
and
a lot
the
of people
Moth
with
Cape. They were really excited. I was with everyone. I was like, $10, let's go. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Well, $10 US anyways. I don't know what it is over there in your currency, but I was just kind of like, hey, let's go.
It's not too bad. So, and then there's the visitors from the previous the season of Halloween.
I don't know if you've bought all the
Yeah.
cosmetics yet or not, but they have.
I hardly buy any.
Okay. Yep. They have all of the Mischief stuff. So if you've missed any of the Mischief cosmetics, you can buy a couple of them. They're IAP. They're in-app purchases, of course, because that's what that room is going to be. It's going to be their money haul, basically, essentially.
This is the money room.
This is the money room. So I'm really
Right.
excited about that. Like, so I'm glad
No, that's
maybe
cool.
like in the future, they'll be continuing that where, you know, they'll put like previous cosmetics like in that room at random times. I feel that
And
maybe
again, I think
eventually this is a way that they put previous IAPs in there. Maybe maybe this hall turns into previous olds or something. I don't know.
Oh, it can be a boat shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I can buy my love boat. No, I think it's yeah, I think it's quite good for that. And because again, it's kind of the service to the newer players. And I certainly felt when I started, there were people talking about capes and stuff that you just couldn't have and what have you. And now it's like there's so much of that it's kind of like you can't just like wait till it comes around again. I feel like it's a good idea. It kind of like you say, if we kind of think that they won't ever have everything in here, so it'll be from time to time there's different stuff. It'll be interesting to see how much. Will it always be like this, where there's a couple of capes and a single days of event, or will there be a few? I don't know. There's plenty of space.
I guess we'll have to wait for the next Days of event, which the next Days of event is Days of Feast, which is coming up here pretty quickly, actually on the 18th. So that's this coming Monday, I believe. There's a couple of new things happening with Days of Feast, so I'm really, really excited about that. This is, since Aviary's been in there, we've had a Days of Mischief event. Have we had the Days of Mischief event in Aviary? I don't know if we did. I think it was at the beginning of Aviary that happened. I don't think we've had Aviary open and then had Days of event. So, and I'm going to ask you this question because obviously, they've already tested them in beta and I've had access to them. I don't know what the events are because I didn't play any of it. I wanted to be surprised for the Days of events, but what are you expecting? What are you expecting to have happen with these like future Days of events in Aviary? Like, do you think like snow is going to be coming through? What
I mean, I kind of imagine that. I kind of imagined snow that would appear. And apparently we get a snowboard. That was on the list of things.
Yes,
I think
that was in the patch notes. Yes, we are getting a snowboard.
I think that's just like, I kind of forgotten about every other thing that they're going to do. And so I need more space. I need more space for my snowboarding. Now we have this is going to be Sky, Children of the Surfboard and Snowboard. That's how we're going to play it from now on. It's like if you can't surf, you can snowboard. So that's the plan. I'd expect some snow out here, wouldn't you? I would hope so.
I would hope so. I would hope that with a snow item, they'll do that. They patch notes for Days of Feast make mention of like snowflakes that are going to be happening. So that's going to be the event currency. The firework festival thing that had been going on showed us where tickets are in Aviary. So that's interesting for sure that Days of events are happening in Aviary where you can actually collect tickets. Days of Feast is going to be having snowflakes in Aviary as well. There's also, let's see, they make mention of a couple of new cosmetics, some hermit boots, winter quilted cape, course creation prop, which I'm interested in. Because
does that mean we can build one?
Yep. That's
because there was something suggesting we might be able to choose the different races, but I don't know what that's going to be like.
It's saying that course creation prop is going to be available even after Days of Feast ends. So it's 150 candles. So I hope that it's a really good one.
Saving.
Yeah, one of those things.
Like
go for it.
So I think that kind of follows on the user-generated content type stuff that they've been. They're kind of trying to push this stuff. So like, make your own course, make the game, a little bit less linear once you finish the main quest, as it were. I think that's
kind of things to buy. You have things to buy and work towards, especially if you don't have, like, let's say for example,
to do with friends.
Yeah, things to do with friends as well too. So let's see. Snowboard hair clip, cape that's coming. It says a winter quilted cape which I've seen, and it's supposed to be awesome. So let's see. There's going to be a couple of things. There's items. So they've separated out where the items are going to be at for Days of Feasts. They're saying that things that are from 2019, 2020 are going to be at the office. There's going to be regular items last year. Granny's going to be back for based off of the patch notes in the old home.
Yeah.
Or I guess home. So she's got her little snow globe there, so that'll be great and interesting. And then we'll have like the newer items. So these items will be available in Aviary Village. I imagine that they're going to put them in that shop where the Days of Mischief stuff. So
although
that
that's
stuff is going to be
not consistent, is it? Didn't we want it to be the old stuff in that shop?
Yeah, you want it to be the old stuff in that shop, but it's just kind of like, wait a minute, you've got like your stuff everywhere. I don't know if they wanted to like make the adjustment or something like that, but like if you go to the office, during Days of Feast, I'd imagine that they're going to have the frozen skate, thing up there with the game, because they say that the they're saying that the days in that event, there's also like the soccer type game, the ball game with the goals and stuff.
Yeah.
That'll be coming back. So that'll be starting on Monday. Days of Feast starts on Monday. The 18th. If the 18th is Monday, I believe. Yeah. So that'll be interesting for sure. To actually
cool to see.
Yeah,
to see how different it is, or whether it's just some tweaks. But it sounds like there's some good stuff coming there. If only the snowboard.
But yeah, if only the snowboard. Cool. That's all you're excited about. Yeah, I saw a preview. They showed the preview.
That's all I really heard of your description.
Yeah, they showed the preview to the snowboard on the Wholesome Games thing that they had going on.
Thing, yeah. So I was going to say about the. Oh gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say now. Oh, keep going. I'll come back to it.
Okay, no worries. Well, I was going to say, if you want to say it, because I'm going to move on over to ask you a question here about the fireworks. Like, how have you? I imagine you've caught a show.
I've been twice.
Like watching it twice now. Okay, cool. I've seen it once because I saw it on stream, but that was the only time I saw it. I haven't been back yet.
My main negative comment.
How did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. My main negative comment I'll get rid of at the start is that the camera on the Switch and maybe some other platforms doesn't zoom back far enough to get a nice overview of the concert. You're kind of a little bit limited, and then you try and look up and the camera like zooms in and you can see your body instead of seeing. So there's a little bit of tweaking of how that looks. I imagine on PC where you can zoom further, it's probably not an issue, but I haven't tried it on PC. Other than that, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really nice little... is it the same? I thought it was a really nice little story through the different kind of seasons were kind of represented there. I was very excited when I saw my boat as the fireworks. And yeah, I mean, my stream were like, this is really pretty. This is really nice. So I think it was like a good thing to do. I like how they kind of managed to turn the area into a coliseum of sorts. So we had the similar thing with the groups of people. I quite liked it.
I liked it too. They kind of made it smaller. Fest Tech of this size, they seem to have made it manageable. I couldn't quite tell like what their max number was, but it wasn't much.
No.
I did see an issue where it was like there was a lot of like Sky Kits. It felt like it was coming in and out a lot. And I think that I want to check it out one more time, before it ends here, maybe where there's more people as well too. I love the fact that they kind of put that idea of like you're launching your Sky Kid. So like the Aurora launch essentially.
Yeah.
I like that they've brought that back. And then there's one of those things, going back to like the feature where it zooms out on PC, it's the same thing on PC. As soon as you're sitting down, it kind of gives you that weird zoom thing or whatnot. And I'm just like, this is interesting. This is new. Like, you're not letting me control the zoom, like your forced perspective, when you're sitting down. And so it kind of made it difficult to kind of pick out where, I wanted to sit and, where the different spots are. I kind of tried a couple of the sitting spots, and I think the one that was furthest back gave the best view, so to speak, without me having to like move things.
But then it kind of moves as well, because it starts in the village, doesn't it? And they kind of walks through. So it's kind of like you don't want to be sitting the whole time. You want to walk around.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting the whole time. You're right. Yeah, because you do walk through the village. And you're just kind of like, I thought it was really cute. You're pumping up the rest of the villagers, kind of like with the steward. So
yeah, you have to follow the steward. That's right. Yeah.
Follow the steward.
No, so the reason I went back a second time was to watch it without moving the camera, because obviously on stream it's even worse when you're moving the camera and you can't quite see, and then so stream can just see a load of blur as you just move stuff about. So I went back to see if I could find some places where I could sit a little bit more still and watch it. But that's not to detract from what they did there. I think it was really good. I think it was a really good thing. Just a little tweak with the camera would have just improved it just a tiny bit more. But yeah, I like that there was a bit of a story to what they were doing. It was about the right length, and yeah, everyone seemed to really enjoy it. I didn't quite get what was coming. I don't know if I hadn't read the patch notes properly, because I thought I was saving up for the stick with the tickets, and then the fireworks stick was somehow the show, and it turns out I didn't have to buy that. That was a separate thing.
Did
but that
you
might be
not get the fireworks stick, or did you get?
I did get it.
Okay,
but I thought that was.
About to be like, please no.
I thought that was the show. That was what I mean. Okay. And it's kind of like, no, that's a different thing. You can kind of add fireworks with that. I like that those extra fireworks at the end of the show, and these boxes just at the bottom here. They're nice for standing on and doing a photo with your friends.
No, the box. I saw some people. I logged into the game yesterday to do my dailies, and I saw some Sky Kids that were merging into the server with me. Of course, they weren't lit or anything, so I couldn't actually see like their outfits or anything. But I did see that there was a Sky Kid using like the float emote from Season of Moments on top of one of those boxes, and I'm like, they're taking some pictures on top of those boxes with the.
I'm always looking for locations for good photos with friends for end of stream. So when there's 8 of you, and one's like this with different levels, a really good location for it.
Yep. You can set up the stand so that you get a nice picture, and you're like, all right, everyone, get sorted out so we can get some good pictures.
that's
one of those things. And I think it's a good place, but those boxes, I imagine they're not going to stay. I do know, as far as fireworks go, those are no longer going to be available after the 18th. So that's going to be wrapping up pretty quickly. And I imagine they also make mention of being like, hey, they are coming back for New Year's, and they're planning on bringing them back, I think, the beginning of the month, at least one time a month.
I saw the New Year event. I thought that was like a cool thought to do that. I thought that was again, I don't know how it's going to be. If it's going to be quite simple or what have you. But did it say it's repeating every hour so everyone can have it?
They're reducing it. Yeah, they're reducing it. They're based off the. I didn't want to read the time zones when I got into the patch notes for it. I was like, yeah, no, we're not reading that. But for each time zone, fireworks begin at 2, and then after that, like 2 in the morning on December the 31st, essentially, and then they keep going until January 1st. So on reset, basically on the 31st until January 1st, there'll be fireworks that whole entire day. So it'll be good. There'll be more chances, and they did mention that they'll be bringing back the event at least once a month so that you can catch fireworks. I don't know if it was going to be at the beginning, but I think that's what they had said. That's cool. Makes sense.
And again, I like it when we always comment from the point of view of having played the game a long time, and for all of us, these are like small incremental additions. But then I think when you play new and it's like, wow, there's fireworks as well, that's cool. I think there's going to it increasingly seems like there's just so much to do in this game that whereas we're just like, oh gosh, they've added one more thing. But I think it's going to be really good for new players, and we're going to have new players with the PC version that isn't coming out before the end of the year.
I didn't even think about mentioning that at all. We got news finally from TGC. They were saying PC before the end of the year, PC before the end of the year. It's the full version of it is not going to be released until next year. I'm hoping early next year, but they said that they're pushing it to 2024. They're still working through some issues. They did mention that the PC demo was going to stay and remain available though. So if you do have and are looking to play the PC version, you don't have to wait for the full version to be able to play. You'll sync up your Steam account, right? So
there are a lot of people playing the demo
from there.
Based on what I see on Twitch numbers. You can see the number of people streaming the game is like nearly double. You can see the number of viewers is higher. So I think it's not like a couple of people are playing the demo. I think there's a lot of people now playing the demo and playing on PC. So that's to come. And of course, they also announced the Portal.
They did announce that. There was another announcement with their I think it was part of the Wholesome Games at the end of that trailer when they were announcing Days of Feast stuff. They announced that when it does release for Steam, they're going to be having a Portal Cube as one of the cosmetics in game that you can purchase. So if you're wondering what the item is going to be for PC, it's going to be a plushie Portal Cube that you can hug and carry around.
So this was a great win for Radicay, because when they first brought out the PC idea, I was doing these jokes about maybe it's a Bill Gates cape or something like this, because PC and Microsoft Excel stick or something, I don't know. Anyway, so one of the suggestions was in my stream that obviously it's not really a PC, it's a Steam thing, and Steam and Valve obviously have this link to Portal, so maybe there would be an in-app purchase, presumably relating to Portal. And we were dead right over 6 months ago, so I'm quite pleased we predicted that. So yeah, that's a win. I don't think it was me. I think it was Lifeblood or someone, but it was a win for Radstream that this is the special thing. So now only Android doesn't have its special thing now. Every other platform's got something special.
Every other platform has its own special thing, but Android does not. So you're referring to like how iPhones have like their own extra features and stuff, because that's something that we should talk about just in general, about like the differences between all of the platforms now that you've got multiple platforms. The only one that it's not on is Xbox essentially now, and even then that's kind of questionable, because I'm assuming that it'll get there eventually once PC releases, because Xbox really has become more of a like buy your digital game, online or whatever now. Let's see, where was I going with that? We'll have to talk about that soon, where it's just kind of like the differences between the platforms, right? iPhone obviously has all of the features that you would want and very, very jealous of. I've considered getting like an iPad to play Sky on, because when you're recording on an iPad or an Apple device essentially, and you're playing Sky, there's a different camera feature that you can do that deletes the UI for you. You can essentially do recording, and then there's a feature where you can do like a vertical recording as well too, where like you can turn it and it'll record like a vertical thing for you too. And I'm just kind of like, as a content creator, I'm just so frustrated because it's not available on Android. And I'm just kind of like, I could be so easily recording all of these things like on my device so I can get the right like settings and things like that. And it's just kind of like one of those things.
the iPad is probably the iPad with a controller attached is probably one of the best experiences of how to do Sky. The only thing I would say as a content creator is if you plug the iPad into HDMI, it doesn't give you a very good feed to stream with. And I tried it on stream a few times, and people could hardly tell I was playing on iPad compared to playing on Switch, because it's kind of like really cropped in on the HDMI feed. So this is just an area where I think TGC haven't optimized for that, which is fine, because it's a real content.
Did they have their own separate things? Like if you've got it on an iPad, like they've got their own features on the iPad kind of thing. So I could see myself, I guess, recording content from that, but like on the iPad and editing and posting from the iPad. Like if you were just
it's only
like
for live that it's an issue.
It's
only for live that it's an issue, that you can't push it out. You can do it the other way by doing an RTMP feed and all that, but then you get the delay.
Yeah.
So you can do a bit, but yeah, I think definitely a tablet and the controller, probably the iPad, maybe Android tablet, quite a good experience for how to play.
I don't think.
Sky
I think
with good
that.
quality.
Yeah, I think that the Android stuff is going to end up being that on Android on the tablet it would be the same thing. I don't think that it would be anything different. At least that's the way that I feel about it.
Well, other people come into my stream and say Android tablet is the way they play, because for a long time it was a good way to get the full screen experience. Before it was on Switch anyway. Have it released a Mac too? Well, the thing about the Mac is you can play the iPhone version on the Mac. I don't know how that works, but I know that a couple of the
I'd imagine you connect a controller and then it works through a controller at some.
There's like some kind of sidecar way of playing. I don't have a Mac. Well, Mrs. Rad has one, but I haven't got one. I think there's some kind of way of playing iPhone games on the Mac.
Yeah, because it has access to the App Store, I'd imagine.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whether there's a way of doing it. You can't burn any dust. Oh, I see.
It still needs tweaks. Yeah, I'd imagine that when it becomes available for Steam, and if they do like I don't know if Steam is available for Mac or not.
It is there, yeah. Because it's the same. There's a lot of games.
I would imagine that they would have to make an iteration of that. Would be the quickest way to do it. So I feel like, anyways, that would be the easiest solution. Apple devices with an M1 chip onwards can download and use iOS apps. Okay. Yeah. I can see it happening. I mean, I can see it happening in the future, but it's not something that they're focusing on, because right now they're trying to focus on making sure it runs on like
fixing
PC
the bugs in the PC version
and fixing the bugs in the PC version. That is, yeah, because there's a lot of people. There's still a lot of bugs in the PC version that it's just kind of like, hey, we had that where it's like we went 2 weeks where PC demo people couldn't sync up with other consoles and systems and stuff like that until they released this latch patch. So if you haven't logged back into Sky on PC because you're like, hey, I can't play with my friends. Yes, you can, and for the moment. I don't know how long that will stay.
It's because we just got out of sync version-wise, didn't we?
They got a sync version-wise, and they got out of sync version-wise because they pushed an update to fix some things on PC sooner rather than later. And that's going to be the experience while the PC demo is out. And that's going to be the one thing to kind of look forward to, is not only are you going to have like the cosmetic for, when full PC release happens. Full PC release will also mean that they'll continue pushing the updates with the rest of the updates, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to push an early update right now. A demo version is really still in development and stuff like that, so there is a chance that you could not potentially play with your friends, if they decide to like try to update it to sort out a fix or something. It'll be like another version.
So this has been the challenge for them with all their different all the different hardware configurations you might get on a PC that they haven't had to deal with when they've been using the other platforms, and remembering, as we've said before, that they write their own game engine here, so this isn't Unreal Engine. They've got to tweak it for all the different hardware configurations. And I had no problems on the PC, and some people had nothing but problems. And I think that's been
Yep, I hear that. Yeah, some people are like, no, I can't even start it up. And some other people like, there is a viewer that I see. They're always like, hey, it's not working. I load it in my home screen, and all I see is a bunch of images and my Sky Kid. Like, this is just a blur. Then I see my Sky Kid that I don't know where I'm going. I wish I could get my PC to maybe do that. It'd be fun. It'd be fun for some content to make, but that my PC is just like, it's playing the game. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it was very
PC version for me is like, it's like I'm playing it on Switch. It's like I'm playing it on PlayStation. It's like I'm playing it on my phone. Like, there's really no difference on where I played. It's just a matter of like where I'm at.
I even tried it on my streaming PC, which doesn't have a graphics card, and it was okay on that as well. So it was like, for me, nothing that but mine is pretty recent kit, so I think it's like, I don't know if it's to do with if you've got something.
It might have like something built in or something like that as far as all that goes. So yeah. I definitely understand for sure. Let's see, I don't think that there was anything else in the patch notes that we haven't talked about, except for a couple of like the minute things. Of course, I'm going to link the patch notes down below when it's out on video. So if you do want to catch those, it was a long
Yeah, there's
list of
always
updates that they did, that the very, very small things that they fixed.
there was always
That
things they don't say, aren't there? Because what were you saying here? I don't know if this was in the patch notes. Frau saying that the Little Prince entrance is different. Is that right? I haven't been there.
they did
Anyway,
change
I
the
don't
Little
remember
Prince
seeing a change.
entrance. It is. So if you go into the Little Prince area, that is another big thing. They've now created a space for collabs. Like that,
Oh,
you
cool.
can teleport to the Aurora Coliseum from there, and you can also go to the Little Prince space from there now. So instead of like the Little Prince area, you go over to the left instead of going into the Little Prince season area like you expect. It is now this small room where you can sit and teleport, and this is where all collab seasons will now sit. So if you haven't noticed that, that
Yeah.
is one of the things. I don't know why I didn't mention it, but that is something different that they released with this patch notes, is that they've updated that area now. You don't go into season of
Okay.
the Little Prince anymore. You go into this room. And so in this room, you kind of get the idea of like, oh,
And there's other things in here.
Yeah,
And a
there's
map.
more spots for more.
I'm just looking at it on stream here.
Mhm.
Nice.
There is more spots for lore. There's at least 1, 2, 3, and then that's not the only thing. Is like they kind of left that door open to you too, because if you fly up, there's even more spots, or if you even move the camera up, there's even more spots where they could potentially like add on to. I'd imagine that they wouldn't, but I don't know why they would have put like that platform there in the middle then at that point. But I don't know. I was like, where am I?
Loads up.
Right.
Oh, that's
They
cool.
did.
So that's more significant than like
They've dubbed it. I
Room
guess
for
the players have
expansion.
dubbed it by themselves, like the collab room. But I imagine any future collab seasons that they're doing are going to be in that room. So that is,
so the season of collab. Right. Okay.
it's
The
going to be the
sponsor
season
room.
of collabs
Yeah.
in there, because you have Aurora, you have the Little Prince. Right now, it's hard to see because there's only really been 2
right.
collabs, Little Prince and Aurora.
So when it's the collab with Josh and Rad, it'll go on this wall.
Yeah, so when we eventually do the Rad Josh collab, that's where it'll sit. So that's going to be great. Yep, that's where it'll be. That's where you're gonna find like the pen cape and the cape with the radishes on it, and you know it'll be great. We'll each get our own little shrine. You know what I mean?
I'm happy. I'm happy to share. As long as we're on that wall.
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, let's go. Gossiper's cape, where we're just gossiping about Sky.
The gossiping cape. That's really cool. Well, I hadn't seen that before. I must go there on the stream. I didn't stream last night for personal reasons, so that's why I haven't seen it.
Yep. I think that is pretty much it. They mentioned something about how there's going to be a difference sometimes of like traveling spirits just being an aviary for some players, and some people will be seeing it still in both places, but that's completely random. New players are going to be testing a new entrance instead of the typical entrance that you experience. So they did make mention to that they're still in work in progress yet. But I did notice after doing my Eden run this week that I did not land at home.
Okay.
I landed in aviary.
Right, okay. And that's because you got that selected.
And I don't know if it was because I have it selected or not, but I'll find out. I'll unselect aviary before next week's Eden run to kind of test that out. But I think
see where we send those.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make you land in aviary or where you land. Oh, I was caught off guard. I was like, "What? What is this? What is this?" I saw in beta that they were testing like a new thing, and I was really excited to see if it would have happened after this last patch. But the only thing that I saw was that. So I'm really tempted to start another Sky account, even though I have 3 already. To see if I can get into that, new player experience that they're testing, just so we can go.
I think it's worth knowing what the new player experience is like anyway.
Yep. It'd be great. It'd be a great series of videos. I don't want to do it until after the aviary is done, though. After the whole quests are all able to be done, because that'd be kind of great to kind of record a series of videos of, hey, new player Sky. After the season of aviary, this is what a new player experience is like. So,
no, that's really interesting. Okay.
It'll be good. It'll be good. At least that's what I feel, anyways. Let's see.
I was going to say I was definitely shocked by one day I was playing Sky and suddenly I couldn't do my quests, and I hadn't, even though I'd seen all this stuff, I didn't even think to go to aviary to find the quests. I was just stood in the current home going, well, where are they then? And like I said, I nearly reported it as a bug, saying there's no quests today. Where have they gone? Before I realized maybe that's
been I guess, to kind of wrap up everything, because that's been the conversation lately, right? Because ever since this patch updated, it's a big controversy that's happening in Sky right now. Is Sky the question becomes, is Sky pushing Old Home out and making everyone go to aviary? And Absolutely. Me and Rad were talking about this before.
Yeah.
They said no. Yeah, they said no. I don't think it's been an official confirmation that they're pushing out. Like some of the things that, and we're gathering this information directly from the devs, from the Reddit that they had, the Ask Me Anything that they did. I'm gonna also link that down below as well. We won't touch on it too much because a lot of it we try to keep it positive and cheery around here. But it kind of a podcast would it be talking about Sky and not mention it? There was this big question and a lot of players being upset because they can't pick up their dailies, like you had mentioned when you first started out, can't pick up their dailies at Old Home if they have their old home. So they were like, well, why give me the choice to select where my home is going to be if I have to go into aviary anyways? And for me personally, I'm just kind of dailies are dailies. If I have to go and pick them up somewhere else, that's, it doesn't matter to me, right? It's not going to cause me any extra steps to be popping into aviary to go pick up my dailies, because it'd be something if I have to go pick up my dailies in aviary and there isn't a place to actually go to that realm from aviary. That's where I would see a problem. But I think the biggest thing, but people are treating it like that's the case. But the reason that I don't have a problem with it is because I'm in aviary anyways, and there's ways to get into the place that I need to get to from there. I'm good. No problem for me. Except now I start thinking about new player experience, right? Where their daily is going to show up, right? For new players, is it always going to be an aviary? What is that going to look like? Let's see. The other thing that the devs seem to hint at is yes, aviary is a new direction and stuff like that, and they're going to maintain home space. In what capacity? I don't think it's going to be in the same capacity that it has been since the game started. Yeah. And the reason behind that is because, at least this is according to their responses that they had in that Reddit forum. Yeah. One of the responses was if we could have started Sky all over again, the aviary would be what we would want a home space to be. Yeah. Not home. Home was always supposed to be this temporary thing that just happened when the game was first starting. And we would have always wanted something like aviary that could have been growing and have the tutorial.
So that was that was in my thoughts, now that we've seen some of this stuff, and it isn't kind of how they kind of trailed this to us. It is a bit different from what they said. And I'm also just looking at the Reddit posts on my screen here, and it's kind of there's a few kind of half answers to this question. But in my thought now, it's okay, when you first start the game and none of the gates are open, everything, it's quite nice that you're in that home space and there's nothing else there. And then so for a new player experience now that you go through, you open up the gates, and then this whole aviary world appears kind of behind you, and you see that it's part of a bigger world. It's kind of that's quite a nice story experience. So that's kind of my feel now about where this is heading towards. Not really that we're choosing one or the other, but we're kind of, aviary becomes the real one, and the old home is just a space for the newer players. That's kind of my current theory of where I think they're going with it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything, obviously,
And I
but
think
that
that they
seems to
made
be
mention, and I have to, and I guess we'll get into the part where we're talking about like comments now from like chat now, because I have to respond to Jelly's like comment that's in the chat.
yeah,
They made mention of aviary, right? Like aviary is going to be that space. Like they're going to be updated. They said that they're updating it as like all of these things are
yeah,
happening. Obviously, right now the only example that I can have that's in live and not in beta is that they have the fireworks festival happening right there. You see the fireworks
yeah,
around, you see the environment changing. I'd imagine that after
yeah,
fireworks and Days of Feast starts, that there's going to be more changes for that as well too. And it's not like any of those things from home are going away. It's just that they're looking for a way to grow the realms and improve new player experience. Because think about like your experience when you first started the game, right? A lot of the experiences, if you're not having that help from another player that is not helping you, like where is the game helping you how to get started? I remember being
yeah,
really, really confused on where to go, how to play, how to do this,
yeah.
how to do that. And if it wasn't for me streaming and it wasn't for me like making these connections with other Sky players,
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the heck is going on in this game, and I'm just going to leave it after playing a couple of hours and be done and not realize,
So that's
these are things for dailies and stuff like that. And so like as a developer, like you ask yourself that question, how do I make sure that the new player experience creates enough momentum to make
what
a
it's
lifelong player? And by lifelong, I mean like lifelong of the game, you know? And I don't know if that makes sense or not to me, but for me, that's my perspective. And that's where I'm seeing it
No,
from.
no,
Yes, I see the point.
I think that's right. And I think, as I say, and having the old home there is just something to introduce players so it's not overwhelming on the first download, and it's kind of like you're exploring, and then it all opens up quite quickly, I think is the right way. I mean, I've said before, I definitely got as far as Wasteland, and there was something that I couldn't see that was just killing me, and I was in water. And I think at that point I put the game down and didn't pick it up again until it came out on Switch, which was like a year later. So I definitely think, having a little bit more open up would
I think,
would help.
yeah,
On the other
I
hand,
agree.
from a
I was
streaming
like,
point
as
of
a new
view,
player, I agree. Streaming point of view, like I had a different experience, like starting, and it was a unique experience, right? Like the
yeah,
experience that I had starting the game, completely 100% unique because I made those connections quickly and I was able to get help, from in real life people in the community that have been growing, but
yeah,
that was my experience, right? But let's think about it from like someone that picks up the game, someone that's new, doesn't know Sky. Now Aviary is there. It's going to introduce me to all the seasons that I didn't even know existed in the game. I had to have help to have introduced to Season of Dreams. I had to have help finding the Little Prince area. I had to have help, finding all of these other places and finding spirits and things like that. And now you have this like really cool, unique experience where, in Aviary, if you're a new player and you're experiencing all these seasons, you have to go and play all these seasons and it teleports you there. You don't have to go spending hours exploring the game being like, okay, this is this unique entrance to the place. I feel like kind of like a scavenger hunt kind of thing experience where it's just like, you're now able to, experience those things in a different way. And I think that it makes it better for new users and will continue to make that experience better for future.
Okay.
They made mention of it in the patch notes where it's just like we're this is what we're trying to do.
So hold that thought and then contrast those thoughts with the fact that the Reddit is quite negative and there's a lot of complaints from the community. Are those complaints justified in your view, or what do you think about the community response to what's going on?
The community response to like all the changes happening in Aviary with dailies being in Aviary and stuff like that. And that's that's the biggest complaint right there. Why give us the choice, of where to choose our home if dailies are going to be in Aviary anyhow, which is what I mentioned before. And it didn't really bother me, right? Well, the point is eventually change is going to happen in any kind of game at the end of the day, right? Like there's updates in the game, stuff like that. Otherwise the game would die, right?
Yeah.
If I keep in mind that yes, they're going to be doing this for the new players, right? Yeah. There's gonna be places, that stuff is going to be changing, and people in general are just afraid of changes in any way. And I think that's where it's coming from. It's coming from a place of like, I'm losing, the ability to connect with new players because they're not going to have the same experience as I am.
Yeah.
But it's been the same for the longest time. And having, as a developer, you have to weigh, where you're going to make those changes of maintaining new players, but also keeping like the older players happy.
Yeah.
And I think that TGC is a great example of, let me take feedback, let me take this, let me take that. And they're so open with a community. There is no other game that I see out there right now that, is always on social media, is always on Discord, is always on this, letting people know like, hey, this is happening, this is what we're doing, or launching surveys. There's so many surveys that Sky does to kind of like get all of those feedback. And I would imagine that like with all that feedback going, like I feel like people are angry because they can't deal with the fact that there's going to be change. But I also feel that people are angry because they're not like being listened to. But it's just like, at the end of the day, for me, it becomes like, I see the perspective of the devs and I see a perspective of the player. I see where people are upset. But at the end of the day, like, this game isn't, it isn't made through like traditional means, if that makes sense. And I feel like the only thing that we can do as players is provide that feedback. So if you are feeling some type of way, leave the feedback. You know what I mean? like that's all you can do. Like you get upset all you want and be angry and riot and this and that, or at least that's what it felt like in the Reddit. When I was reading through there, it seemed very, very like negative and not productive at all in any way.
Yeah.
And so you get a lot of like the devs giving like half answers for things because of that reason. And so it's just kind of like, you're just angry because of the change. And I'm not going to call out. As a developer, I'm not going to be the one that's going to say that's what you're angry about. You're not angry that there's something new in the game.
You know? Say that. And do you think the community are generally angrier than they have been, or is there's always been an element of people moaning about every change?
Change is hard to come by, right? And I think that no one other than like the older players, the players that started in lighter weights, those players that were testing it before it became a thing, can truly understand and be angry and frustrated about changes. I just feel like a lot of people are getting overwhelmed with all of the changes, and a lot of people are not knowing how to handle that, because it's just kind of like, now I can't kind of see eye to eye with a player that's new now. And I feel like that's the reason for, the anger for the change, right? Now I can't connect with newer players now. And I don't know if people realize it or not, that that's the reason that they're upset, that because of like all the change, being overwhelmed. Now I can't connect with new players because now their experience is different. But for me, it really became, for me, I'm just kind of like, this is great. Like I'm going to be like Sky's number one cheerleader at the end of the day, because I'm going to be like, as a content creator, I'm open to any changes and stuff like that. I'm going to be like, well, this works, that doesn't work, that works, whatever. And there are going to be some things that make me upset, in game as well too. And one thing in particular was something that it's in beta right now that I was ranting about the other day when I was streaming. And so it's just like, don't get me wrong, it's not that there isn't going to be changes that they make that's not going to make me upset, but I understand the reasoning behind them, and I understand that even if I'm upset, I'm going to go ahead and make it productive and leave feedback that's productive. And do it that way. And like, I'm not saying, hey, you can't be upset because of the new changes, or hey, you can't do this, or you're allowed to feel like your feelings and stuff like that. But like, if you are like giving feedback to like a TGC company, the things that they're expecting to receive are going to be like, this doesn't work for me for XYZ reason. And like, logistically, whether for disability purposes, whether for there's a really big game bug or something like that. At the end of the day, I just don't understand where the anger about like I don't know. I don't understand where like the anger is coming from for it, right?
So my piece on this is like that, there can be small changes, and we've definitely been through pieces in the last few months where the bugs, they haven't made the game unplayable, but there's been, the non-hand-holding bug with the Switch, for example, was a real pain, and not being able to walk to PC players and stuff like that. But for me, it's always been the big picture here is that this game seems to be, big style, still under development. There's lots of stuff going on. There's new stuff added all the time, and that seems to be like a great win. That there's TGC aren't going, oh, this game's really popular, let's just create one big shop to buy loads of things and never develop anymore. We seriously had the feeling after the season of Aurora that perhaps this was going to be the high point and they'd start developing their new game after this, and that hasn't been the case. We used to get big long gaps between the seasons when nothing was really going on. Now there's a Days of event all the time, and we've got these fireworks, and they've added the tickets instead of the old way of doing things. They're not going to give us the same Days of Feast as we had last year. It's going to be a different one. And it's like, this game is like, they really, really trying hard to develop us, give us new experience. And we're not paying a cent for this, by the way. If you don't want to spend any money, it's free. And so I kind of feel like, that the game we love is being developed actively to be bigger and better all the time is a positive thing that we should be like celebrating. And like you say, if we have got concerns about some of the detail of this, then yeah, we should be feeding back to them because they are listening. And I get frustrated like with some of the anger of the fact that the certain changes that might be forcing us to go to Avery and what have you. And I just feel like, if your time with Sky is over, just don't play it anymore. You don't need to sit here moaning. But also, let the game devs give us the experience they want to give us. It's the story they told us is the one that we fell in love with. It's not the game that I wrote. That is the game that I really want to play. And so I kind of like to give them a chance to show us.
I think I've just always been curious about like how games are made. So whenever I find a bug in game, for me, my point of view is not like, oh, this doesn't work. My point of view has been like, this is weird. How can I recreate this?
Yeah.
And like, what can I do to make it entertaining? Well, that's just me as a streamer. But like as a player, I completely get where it's just like, this doesn't work and this is not how it was intended and blah blah blah. But like at the end of the day, I'm like, how much of this in the game was like a person sitting as a coder, right? You programming something and it's just an unintended bug, like it's just kind of like, it's just an unintended bug. At the end of most of the bugs that are in the game are unintended. It's probably something that they didn't even think about. And now they have to go back and fix it. And how do they go back and fix it? Feedback. That's what it comes back to, right? At the end of the day, right? I get it. I get like, being upset about the game. I get being upset at like all this and that as like changes and things are happening. But a lot of these things that are happening, 100% unintended. I guarantee you. The other thing about like, it's unintended, but also the fact that they've mentioned it. I guess the biggest thing that people are irritated about from what I like read on like the AMA on the Reddit thing is that the non-choice, right? That's what it is, right? Like, why give me a choice to choose home and aviary, but then just put the dailies and stuff like that in aviary?
Yeah.
Then it doesn't feel like a choice now, right? Like I have to go to aviary. But the thing that I thought of immediately was, and my response to like all of those people is like, why wouldn't you want to be an aviary? It's the new place of Sky. It's not going to be a place. The thing about it, and it's a hard kind of balance, is that they don't want aviary to be a place where it's just like the rest of the seasons.
Yeah.
How many seasons are in Sky right now that you don't go visit anymore? Except for if you go and do a full wing light run.
For the wing light run, yeah.
How is it? How as a game company am I supposed to incentivize the fact that you have to visit this place because this is where it's going? You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like,
I think we just need to say to Jelly that your concerns are valid. here, and it's fine for you to not necessarily agree with what we say.
No, I get it. I completely understand, because I get it. I understand. It's not your home. I get the frustration.
I also never want to be a game dev, because it just seems like such a hard job.
It seems like such a headache. It does. Like I'd rather stay on this side of like where I'm creating content for a game more so than a thing, and being able to kind of like spread the communication about things that are happening, because I always find myself, whenever I see patch notes go out, I like to read them on stream or repost them, or, talk about it like in the Discord, and things like that. So it's just kind of like, it's one of those, for me, as much as I can understand it, I'm just not upset about it. So I will never be able to understand. And I know, it's not something that I'm passionate. It's not that I'm not passionate about. It's not something that I am. I don't know what kind of perspective I can share for my perspective. And this is the way that I've always been. Like, I like to look at things from like different points of view, from like a dev perspective, from a creator perspective, from like a player, from a new player, this and that. And that allows me to kind of like keep like an open mind about things. And so it's kind of hard to form an opinion and let those things kind of show themselves, unless it's something that I didn't even realize I was experiencing myself, which is difficult for me to begin with anyways. I just want to see how it looks like in the future, right? And how they take this feedback and how they make it, right? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to not address it,
Yeah. I like Crazy's point, by the way, about encouraging us to go to some of the older areas a bit more. And I do think, some of those areas possibly are a bit wasted. That you build the whole sea area, you build the whole Little Prince area, and there's no real encouragement to go back and see what they're like. So I think that's valid. And I think, they don't have to constantly building new areas where they could put more in some of the older areas. I mean, Prairie Peaks is quite quiet as well. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah, you kind of develop your stuff. And I get it. I completely get it. And it's difficult to kind of handle all these different things, as far as like it's hard to struggle. And as a content creator, I want to be aware of these things, because there is not, and being a part of the Sky Creator Troop, it's kind of like being able to get like a direct access to communications with TGC to be able to be like, well, this is what they're intending. And, at the end of the day, I feel like, I have a responsibility to be able to be like, this is what they're intending, and this is the feedback that I receive, and this is that. And I'm trying to do everything that, it's not my responsibility, obviously, to do the thing, right? I could just log in and play the game every single day and just have at it, whatever.
Yeah.
And keep my space available. But I think that, what me and Rad do as content creators, and the purpose of us doing like this podcast, is to be able to kind of like be able to talk about these things in a way that, is productive, right? Not to force positivity, not to force anything. It's just to kind of like enjoy the conversation and kind of be like, all right, well, I'm curious to see where things go from here, right? And be able to reflect on those things. Because at the end of the day, like being mindful of everything is going to be the only way to be able for us to understand whether each other, understand player to dev communication, understand like changes that are happening in the changes that are happening.
I mean, I think another topic we could get into on one of these is the fact that you and I are now members of the Creator Troop, and TGC have reached out to us, and whether that gives us different opinions on the game. We're not paid by TGC, but there is a level.
No, this is not paid content or anything like that. We're here just giving us.
We do hear what they say. We do hear what they say. Sometimes we've been to the weekly meeting, and we hear their kind of views on things. Mostly it's not secret stuff, but does that mean we're more shills for the game than we would be if we were just on the outside of it? I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic to maybe cover at some point on this, because I definitely think sometimes like maybe I know the reason why they've done something, or maybe they just seemed quite sensitive about the reaction to something, and then sometimes I feel the need to try and be a little bit more even-handed, whereas previously I was just like, oh, there's a bug, where's my free candles? You know,
that is a speaking of, that the game crashed for a couple hours the other day, and it's very entertaining to kind of go to the official Sky Discord and just kind of like pop in general chat and just kind of sit there and watch, because there's like folks that are like, they're working on it, and then there's people coming in being like, is Sky broken? And then you just get like the flux of comments and reactions and stuff being like, yes, it's been down. And just to kind of see like the general chaos, because you also get those folks that are like, I need my candles now because I can't play
free
Sky.
candles. Yeah. I used to be one of them. I definitely was. I definitely, where's my free candles when things went wrong?
And I'm just kind of like,
Hi, Alexi.
I'm very much one of those people. I like watching the chaos unfold, and let me get some popcorn.
But whereas now I'm like, there's real people, they're doing this job, they're working hard, you know, and you know, free candles is the last thing. Just let them get it fixed. So I think that's an interesting like topic that we might talk about in future.
We should, we definitely should take that, where it's just kind of like, hey, you know, if something goes wrong in the game, what you know, if something goes wrong in the game, like what should your reaction be? Like what kind of reactions are there out there in the sky? Where are we, you know, as creators for the game? Yeah. I definitely get it. All right, cool. Great. I think the next question that I see here, so we can kind of like change topic a little bit here and kind of end on a more positive note here. What's your favorite place in Aviary right now?
Favorite spot in Aviary? I don't know. I kind of just like going to the top of okay, here's a question. Is the building at the end of Aviary, is that an aviary? Or because aviary means birdcage, doesn't it? I don't know if so is that building that I want to stand on the top of, is that the aviary?
It does look like an aviary. I don't know, I can't confirm or deny whether or not it is, but it looks like it. I would assume it is.
That's the thing.
But that kind of begs the question, like lore wise, that building is broken. So what were they keeping in there is my one question. And my second question is, will there ever be an instance of aviary that building is complete again and built? Because right now it's broken. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing as well about this area. Although this is the season of whatever it is, this isn't the season of aviary, and this isn't the end of the aviary story, in my understanding.
No. Yep.
During this season of revival, we were going to revive something. So yeah, in answer to the question, my favorite bit is to stand on this building and just take that whole scene in as you look up.
The most beautiful views off of the top of that building is that. So that's your favorite place, is standing on top of that building then?
Yeah, just to see the whole world as it comes out in front of me. That's what I would say.
There's some pictures that I caught in beta of stuff that's coming that I'm not going to say, and I now knowing that that's your favorite spot and the exact view that you have, in a couple of weeks or next week, I think when that next patch goes up, you should definitely be standing exactly right where you're at.
With my snowboard.
And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, Rad is standing at the very topmost point, or almost the topmost point of where the aviary is, looking down at the little town. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. When's the troop playing the bells together?
Oh, craze. We forgot about that. You know, for the secret thing that we're doing that we can't tell anyone about, we should have all submitted a bell sound, and then we could have played a tune on the bells. Oh,
that'd have been great.
But
no, it's fine.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
For the future,
right?
We will do some songs.
Do a collab with all the Sky Troop and just kind of be like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, like the Christmas ding, 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 ding type bells, that would have been cool.
Yeah, when is Craze going to come over on the podcast? That's what we got to do. That's what we got to learn.
Yeah.
Next, right?
So yeah,
All right.
cool. I do need to go, I'm afraid. I'm supposed
Okay,
to be
I
in a
know. I
meeting
mean, I figured. I was
10
like, man,
minutes ago.
we're an hour and 20 minutes in already, right?
It's
I'm
good
like,
to
Rad,
chat.
hello. Well, thank you very, very much, for joining in the podcast. We appreciate you. You can find us. Make sure to give, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Rad. His link is down below as well. Go follow us over on Twitch if you want to get involved in the questions and stuff like that. Make sure to leave this video a like, comment, all of that. Any questions, anything that comes up, feel free to go ahead and interact with it. Anything as far as that goes. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for joining us. Rad, any last minute things?
No. This has been cool. Don't read the Reddit. It'll just depress you, everybody. It's fine.
Don't read the Reddit. It was a good idea, but don't read the Reddit.
Yeah. I've always thought this, okay. It's like you call it Ask Me Anything, but it's kind of like but don't. Most of these things don't answer. Don't ask any of those questions. There's the pen for the day.
Yeah. First of all, never go to Reddit.
Yeah. Never go to Reddit.
It's all good.
Thanks,
it's all
guys.
Good. Well, thank you.
I gotta leave it here.
Appreciate it. All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one, Red. Bye.